Welcome all to my YouTube channel from down under. We're going to have an Elvis inspired yarn night tonight. Now I apologise, I do stutter sometimes, I can't help it. I've searched high and low for Elvis jokes and I found 3 pretty good ones. I just hope they put a smile on your face. An Australian Sheila wants a tattoo of Elvis's face and she wants to put it on the inside of her leg. So she goes to a tattooist in town and says to him, "How good are you at putting tattoos on people's appendages?" So he looks up at the wall and points and says, "Look, my art is flawless." So he says, "Do you want a tattoo? What do you want?" She says, "A picture of Elvis on the inner side of my thigh." So he tells her to get up on the bed. She lays down and he goes to work. Tap, 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 tap. Well, he's finished after a while. He tells the Sheila to get up, have a look. He's pretty proud of himself. She lifts her little skirt up a little bit, bends over, spreads her legs a little bit, and has a look. She can't believe it. It doesn't look like Elvis. She says, "You've bloody ruined my leg." So the quick thinking tattooist says, "Well, just wait, love. I'll put another tattoo on your other leg." So she thinks, well, I'm getting 2 tattoos for the price of 1. I might as well have a go. So she lays back down on the bed and he goes and does his tattooing. She gets up when it's finished. He goes, "Have a look at that. That's pretty damn good." She bends over, lifts her skirt up, moves her legs apart a little bit, has a look. She goes, "That doesn't look like Elvis. You've stuffed the other leg up. What am I going to do?" So the tattooer says, "Well, I've got a friend next door. I'll go and get him. And I'll ask him his opinion. If he likes the tattoos, well, you've got to pay for them. But if he doesn't think they look like Elvis, you get free tattoos." So she thinks, well, there's nothing else I can do. I'll have to put up with it. So he goes and gets his mate and he tells his mate, "Do you recognise these famous musicians?" The guy bends down, she pulls the skirt up a little bit, moves the legs out, and he's fully embarrassed. He can't believe he's got to look down that area of a lady. It's just not right. But he stands up, red in the face, he's nervous. He puts his hand on his chin and rubs it. Then he says, I don't know about the twins, but the one in the middle with the beard and bad breath is certainly Willie Nelson." There's an Australian Pope in Australia. He wants to go to America. He wants to go all the way to Washington DC. So he hops on a plane, flies there. Gets off the plane, he's tired, he's worn out, walks into the airport. There is a huge crowd. And they start yelling, "Elvis! Elvis! Elvis is in the house!" So this dear old Pope, Australian Pope, puts his hand on his head and wipes it and says, "Oh no, not this again. I've put up with this before." So he slumps over and walks past the crowd really slow to his bags, grabs his bags, leaves them behind the crowd, walks out the door to his limo, hops in the limo, puts his bag in the back and tells the driver to go to a certain motel. So halfway through the trip, the limo driver looks in the mirror and he's looking and he's looking and he says, "You're Elvis. I thought I could recognise you from anywhere. I knew you were still alive. Can I please have your signature? Well, this poor old Australian Pope says, look mate, I've had a bad day, a long trip, I've had problems along the way, can you please just drive and not talk to me? So the driver drives him to the motel, helps him with his bags to the front desk. The Australian Pope signs, grabs his keys and walks to his room. He opens the door up and he hears this big noise. He hears these three women, he sees them. They're screaming, Elvis! Elvis! Elvis is in the building! We can't wait to meet you, Elvis! So he's taken back. He's just over it. He's had it. The three women say, please, please talk to us. And they say, and I want to look after you. We all want to look after you and give you pleasure. And a smile comes on the Pope's face. And he's thinking, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can pull this off. So he says, with a big smile and a wink, a little less conversation and a little more action. So there's two Australian psychiatrists. They're at their local watering hole, bending the elbow, drinking a few frothies, and the youngest of the two doctors says to the psychiatrist, the oldest one, what is the most difficult case you've ever had? So the oldest psychiatrist rubs his chin, because I always rub my chin when I'm thinking, and he said, one time I had this patient who lived in a complete fantasy world. He thought he was Elvis's love child. He stands outside his place every day at his mailbox, waiting for the mailman. So the younger of the two doctors asks, why? Why does he do that for? So the oldest man, the psychiatrist, says he's waiting from a letter from Elvis's Elvis's estate, and he's waiting for a large cheque. So the younger of the two guys says, so what was the end result? Well, the psychiatrist, the older man, said it was a very difficult struggle over many years, but I prevailed and I finally cured him, replied the shrink. Then he goes on to say, but the very next day that bloody letter arrived and my former patient lost his bloody mind. Well, I hope you all enjoyed some of Elvis's jokes. I did. Now it's my turn to tell you an Aussie yarn. Now this is a true story. This happened to me last Saturday when I go for a walk early in the morning at 1:30, 2 o'clock, clear my mind, think about poetry, and I do a bit of window shopping too. I was walking down the main street, and about 100 metres in front of me on the corner, there were 6 or 7 teenagers. I say 15 to 18, I don't know. As I got closer, they started screaming things out at me, saying, you're a bippin' old, smelly, bippin' old man. So I thought, I don't need this, and I know I'm going to get myself into trouble, and trouble with the police. So I slowed down, walked to the other side of the main road, and walked down that's the street beside where the group of guys were. They kept yelling out and screaming. I knew they had a few beers, which they shouldn't be drinking so young, I know, but in Australia you can drink at 18. And I thought, blow it. I live in Australia. I'm an Australian. I don't have to put up with this crap. So I stopped turned around, walked over towards them over the other side of the road. Well, they quietened down. They didn't know what was going to happen. I walked up to them. I was 10 metres away, and the biggest guy walked out of the group. He might have been the oldest too. And I said, "Good morning, guys, how are yous?" And he said, "That's none of your bloody business." And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't want to cause any trouble. I don't want to have any trouble. I just want to walk down the street past you guys and finish my walk. I said, "What's going to happen?" And he said, "Well, I think you're being a bit bloody smart with me." So I said, just excuse me for a sec. Well, I said, "Well, I'm sorry," but I put my hand in the pocket and I pulled out this, my phone, and I started pressing and dialing. And he goes, "Are you calling the bloody coppers?" And I said, "No, I'm calling an ambulance." And he said, "Why are you calling an ambulance for?" And I said, "Because you're going to need a bloody ambulance after I've finished with yous." And I said, "In fact, I'm going to call 4 ambulances because there's 6 or 7 of you and there's 2 to an ambulance." Well, that went down really well, didn't it? They all clammed up. The big guy looked at the ground. And I said, "Is it over? Have we finished?" And they didn't say anything, so I said, "Well, good night, guys, and have a great morning." I turned around and walked home. So that's a yarn that I share. Now, I have videoed this for Australia because it was shut down, and I have a video still going and it's still playing My Sister Theron Tells Me in America. So there's 2 different videos and they're a little bit different, but I can't help that. I'm not perfect. So thank you for joining me down under. I'd like to praise the great king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. And I ask everyone, keep smiling, guys, and have a great night or have a great day or morning or wherever you are. And please check out my other videos. They will catch your attention, I bloody guarantee.